welcome to These Are Good Days with Leanne Miller
and Matt Barris.
Well, Matt, you see where I'm looking. I'm looking at Lego Disney creations.
Okay, here's the thing. My kids love Legos, and they, for Disney's 100th, had really cool Lego sets, and the one that we did was the Up House. You've probably seen it. It's so cool, and I always tell my kids, this is going to look really good in Daddy's office downstairs, and they're like, Dad, don't take our Legos. But yeah, so we have been in Lego mode.
You've been in
Lego
Disney
mode.
Lego mode.
Disney
let's just
Lego
say it.
mode.
Listen, and also you and Mal have been you've been busy with the Disney trips.
We've been busy.
So if somebody wants to plan a Disney
Yes.
trip, they can contact you at Hey Matt Barris on Instagram,
Yeah.
get the information, and you will plan their trip for free.
For free.
Which is so crazy.
And here's
to
the
me.
thing is Disney does have some really great promotions right now. So depending on what time of year you want to go, we can help you with that.
I'm sure they do.
And really, this is a cool thing too. This happened, and I posted this on my Facebook page about Disney and my Instagram about Disney, is if you plan with a Disney travel agent,
which is you.
which is me, they will sometimes email the travel agent and say, hey, for this much, your client can update or upgrade their hotel stay, or they can get this deal.
Nice.
So once you book it, sometimes we, because you book with a travel agent,
Can give
can
you
get
little
cool
extras.
little deals. And the
That's
other really cool thing is I work for a company. It's called Fantastical Vacations. My company is earmarked Disney Gold level status travel agency, which means we have the secret bat line. So if you get an alert, we'll call the secret number and we'll help you. You will never get stuck with us.
Listen, if you want to go to
So-
Disney, Matt and Mal are your people.
We are the people.
Do not contact me.
Listen, I did tease you. I said my 40th is coming up in a year from now. So I'm turning 39. I'll be 40 next year. And I teased Leanne and I said, for my 40th birthday, do you want to go to Disney with me? And she was like, absolutely not. I was like, but what if it's the only thing I want for my birthday? And she was like, no, I won't do it. I said, how about a Disney gift card and then you don't have to go? And she's like, maybe we'll do that.
Maybe that I can work out. Okay, what's your good day?
You know, my good day was great. It was just last week. You know, something we talk about on the podcast quite a bit is relationships. And it's about seeking people out, about friends that you love, people that maybe you've lost touch with. And I had a friend reach out to me. His name's Grant. He
We
listens
love
to
him.
the podcast.
Shout out Grant.
He listens to it at 4:30 in the morning walking, because he's a walker. He walks before work. So he's probably walking the snowy streets.
He's very physically fit.
He is.
He's very active.
He is.
Okay, listen, I have to I just have to interject this before you tell the story. One of my favorite memories of Grant was, often we had people in and out of our house, but you know that. But you were living with us. And there was a little window of time that Grant stayed with us right before he got married.
Yeah.
And he came in the house after work one day and came straight into the house and into the refrigerator, left the room, said hello, just was like, hey, got in the refrigerator, left, turned around, walked out of the room. And the people that were visiting looked at me and said, is that person supposed to be here?
That's so funny.
Because it was this
Man.
person,
this grown man just
guy
walked in. Yeah.
And they knew, Teddy and Joey were in school, and they were
Right.
like, is that person supposed to be here?
That's
It's
so
funny, but we love Grant.
Yeah, he's awesome. So yeah, Grant, he was in my wedding. I was in his wedding. We were talking, and we were talking about old memories, and we were friends over 15 years ago.
Yes, and you know what's crazy? You were telling me your age when you were friends with Grant,
Yeah.
and it is a year younger than Joey.
That's
So
crazy.
if Grant is listening right now, you guys were Joey's age.
That's crazy.
When you became friends, which is crazy.
Yeah, he reached out to me, and we were talking over text, and he said, we'll look for a date. And so we booked a date before Christmas, January 12th. And he said, give me a date and we're going to make it happen. And I'm just so thankful that he was so proactive.
Yes,
So
and you guys are both dads of young kids.
Yeah.
So it takes some planning.
Totally.
And it just speaks to, it just speaks to this. if you've been thinking, I need to get a hold of that person, I need to reconnect with that person, I miss that person's voice in my life, here's your sign. Call them, text them, get a hold of them, Facebook message them. You know, people still do that. Like, get a hold of them and just say, hey, let's go to lunch. Let's go to dinner.
It was so good. It was so good. It was like time didn't, the 3 years didn't pass since I last saw him. So it was great. What about you?
Well, Matt, I know we can't have a second.
Oh, wait. I have to say one more thing about this. So we were at this restaurant in town.
Oh.
And I moved around the restaurant, and this man was like, hey, are you Matt Barris? And I was like, he like yelled out. And I walked over to him.
You were at a bar, which is so, I mean, it's just so interesting. So interesting for me to think. You being at a bar. I'm like, you're at a bar.
I didn't want to say that. It wasn't. It's a brewery.
Yeah, it's a cool place.
It's cool, and they have a food truck outside. So I left to get some food, and I cannot believe you threw me under the bus. You threw me under the food truck. So I walked back in, and this guy was like, hey, are you Matt Barris? And I was like, yeah. And we talked, and we had crossed paths years ago. And we both had really great impressions of each other. But he was like, hey, I actually called you over because my wife listens to the podcast. And so I got to meet someone in public. I forget his wife's name. I saw them on Facebook, but his name's Sean Lawley.
Yeah.
She's a first grade teacher. So Sean's wife, if you're listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for listening, and thank you for being a friend of the podcast.
Thank you for being here. Okay.
So, your good day.
My good day is random. I went to Hilton Head, which I went to Hilton Head by myself. Listen, if you have not gotten away lately, even if it's for 2 days, 3 days, go stay with a friend. Go somewhere to get away for a little bit, to clear your mind, to think, to write some lists. And you know this about me, Matt, because honestly, it was a barrage of text messages because if I get away and I change my scenery, it's so creative for my brain.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I'm like, what about this? What about this? Let's do
I
this.
love when you go away because you usually come up with some crazy, wild ideas that are so good.
Yeah, and getting away is a way to ground yourself. It's a way to give you a fresh perspective. And then here was my good day. I came home, and my husband, he looked like a brand new man. I was like...
you kicked the tires on that boy. You said, man, you're looking good.
I love you so much. Seriously. I was like, I missed you so much. And I gave him the biggest hug and the biggest smooch. And I was like, I just missed you. Listen,
that's cute.
Sometimes we can just get into a kind of a rut of a routine.
Totally.
I think routines are important. I think roots are important. I
Absolutely.
think having consistency in your life is important, but I think changing up the scenery every now and then is super important. And so I came home, and the first day after I was back home, I looked at my house, and all day long, I'm serious. If somebody would have been filming me, it would have made it to Funniest Home Videos. All day long, I was walking around the house like, I love my home. I love this house. I'm going to vacuum. I love this vacuum. And then while I was gone, Daryl cleaned out the filter of the vacuum. Oh. So that vacuum was just sucking.
So good.
And I was like, this is so good. And
That's awesome.
reason it was so good is because I stepped away from it for a minute.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes we just need to step away from things for a minute. Just to realize just the goodness of our life.
Yeah. Mallory and I always say, I, more than my wife, struggle with when we get back from vacation, I get sad. But I always tell her I'm so proud of us because we have a life that we want to come back to.
Yes.
Of course, I would much rather be on vacation, without constraints and all that stuff. But I really do love the life that we've built together. And I love the home that we've created together and the relationships that we have here in Ohio. Even though right now in Ohio, it's so bitter cold. The sun has been great, but it is so bitter cold.
Listen, I just said this to my friend Mel. If the sun is shining and the sky is blue, I don't care what temperature it is. I don't care. I think today it was like 11 degrees or 9
The
degrees.
wind chill was crazy too.
It was so cold. But I was out there loud and proud because that sky was blue.
I know.
And the sun was
so
shining.
Great.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah. When it gets gray, man, that's when it's a little hard.
That's right. One thing before we start jumping into our topic. Well, I don't know what we want to call our topic today, but before we jump in, we just want to say this is so funny. When we get reviews on Apple Podcasts, we will text each other and be like, did you see this one? This is so great. It's you know, what I love about podcasts is it's free. So it's free for you to listen.
Yes.
And I love that about podcasts. And so if you're like, oh, how can I help these guys out? This is it. This is part of our currency is leaving reviews, sharing episodes that you find. I mean, we got a lot of great feedback about the last week's parenting one, a lot. So if that resonated with you, sharing it with someone in your life who's also a parent or in a different season, maybe in Leanne's season of life where she's letting her kids go more. So that is really how you thank a podcaster, you know?
Yeah, it's to leave a review or to star.
Leave a star on Spotify or share it with people. So this one is from Cat Meow Meow.
Cat Meow Meow.
Cat Meow
I
Meow.
love that. Mr. Butters would be friends with Cat Meow
This
Meow.
is Cat Meow Meow 111. This podcast is such an easy listen. Funny, heartfelt, and insightful. Matt and Leanne make you feel welcome and share solid life advice that is backed up by experience. I have both laughed out loud and cried many times while listening. These are people you just want to be friends with.
Oh,
Cat Meow Meow.
Cat Meow Meow. Let's do
Thank
coffee.
you so much. Yeah, Cat Meow Meow. Let's do it.
Love it.
But yeah, thank you so much for those reviews that you've left us because we really do get excited when we see those pop up.
Yeah,
so you can head over to Apple Podcasts and write out a short, long review. Anything is great, and we'll appreciate it.
Okay, let's bounce off that. So when people say it's like sitting down with good friends and having a conversation, that's what we're doing today.
Absolutely.
We're talking, this is a potpourri episode.
Right.
This is like going to be like, we're making soup and putting lots of ingredients in the pot and coming out hopefully with something real good.
This is like one of those, this episode is going to be like, I mean, you were in Hilton Head, so we really haven't seen each other for a while.
I know. I'm excited.
And this is like us literally catching up on what's been going on.
In real time live.
In real time with you, our podcast friends.
Yes, our podcast friends and family. Okay, listen. Also, we have an exciting thing coming up this weekend. We have our live event at the Mercantile. We have another live event coming in April, the end of April, that's going to be in Amish country. We are so excited about that.
Yeah.
More information will be coming about that.
Well, here's what we need to truly say about that is we are prepared to post about it this weekend on both of our Instagrams. So January 20th is Saturday. We're going to be getting together with about 25 people at the Mercantile.
Yes.
Walnut Creek Cheese is sponsoring this event, so they're giving us all their great meats and cheeses and beef jerky, and they are such a good friend of this podcast. So they're giving us all the vittles at the Mercantile.
Yeah, right.
And at the Mercantile, we're going to be telling people about the next event that's coming at the end of April.
Yes.
Now, here's what I'll say. I don't want to say too much.
No.
But we should say this was really birthed out of your Instagram community that you've had for many years that have said, we want to do Amish country with you.
Yes.
So we have found a way where people can do Amish country with us.
Yes.
So we're going to wait till April. It's going to be a little warmer, a little sunnier. We can drive around Amish country a little easier. So that's that's enough to say at this point.
Yes.
But if you were like, that sounds something that that sounds like something I really, really want to do, I will tell you, be watching our Instagram this weekend because our last two events sold out really, really fast.
Really fast.
So if that's something that you want to do, be looking around Saturday night, Sunday during the day. We'll post more details about it. We'd love to see more of our podcast family.
Okay, so
also, can we say this is going to be an overnight event?
Yeah, it's going to be an overnight event. If you want.
If you want. If you've been thinking, I want to come to Amish country, this is the time to do it.
Yeah, you can stay overnight, or you can just come for Friday night.
Or
come
just
to come to the recording, or you can just come for Saturday.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really fun. Okay, so we have been thinking about, brainstorming, going back and forth, texting each other. Just really up on deck has been the topic of love.
Mm-hmm.
And this coming weekend, we have a guest, Kelly. We love Kelly. We love Kelly
so
Brownlee. She did a two-episode podcast with us on faith. And we're going to talk about the topic of love this weekend.
Kelly's podcast really resonated with people. What I love about Kelly is a musician. She's a pastor. She's lived a different experience than us. Yes. She is Black. She grew up in West Virginia. So she has such a cool perspective. Yes. She's grown up in Black church. She has a perspective that you and I just can't have.
Yes.
And so she also just has a way of expressing her faith and explaining it in a way that's different than us.
Yeah. And here's what I'll say too. You know, of course, when we talk about love, because we have a Christian faith structure, we bring in the person to Jesus. But you don't have to be a Christian to tap into what we're going to talk about.
Right.
And we're not going to force our opinion on you or force our belief or our faith on you.
Right.
We just want to talk about the topic of love and how love changes things and how love is powerful.
Right.
And so with that, I'm going to say this real quick. This is a directive. If you have a story for us that we could share this weekend that you're like, they're talking to me. I want to share how love has profoundly changed my life. It doesn't have to be a spouse. It doesn't have to be a partner. It can be a friend. It can be a parent. It can be your grandmother. It can be Jesus. But how love has profoundly impacted your life.
Right.
If you will send that story, we would love to share some of these this weekend on the podcast when we record on Saturday night. Send that to Matt. So Matt, give your email address.
Here we go. This is what she always does.
This is how the mug started.
Send it to Matt. You can email it to me at M as in Matt, E as in Edward, that's my middle name, Barris, and it's Beres. And if that doesn't, at gmail.com.
Okay,
and if
so
that doesn't work,
Barris
at gmail.com. And if that doesn't work for you, you can even pop into my DMs on Instagram.
Yeah, that's great. That's great because love is a huge topic. It's an overwhelming topic. And I think sometimes it's avoided. It's about talking about it because it's so big.
Totally.
It's like saying like, explain to me, what love's like. Well,
right.
I mean, that could go so many different directions, but I don't think we should avoid that topic because of that. I think there are so many aspects of love that are healthy to talk about, that are important to talk about. I'm consulting with 3 different counselors about asking them the question of, when do I know that love is harmful? And when do I need to put a boundary up because this love is damaging my life?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we tell ourselves we got to stick around. We got to be in it and stick around and put up with some love being given to us that is actually could be destroying us.
Absolutely.
So so I'm going to have those answers, and it's just going to be a really good topic.
I'm not going to lie. When you said sometimes we need to stick around love and we need to put up with, I didn't know what you were going to say. And I was like, Leanne, we can't have 2 disclaimers in a row. We need to watch our language. We can't have 2. We can't have 2 that are like, please hide your children, hide your kids, hide your wife. We can't go there. We need to still stay our wholesome family.
I had somebody say that they listened to the podcast with their son, and when that part from last episode came up, they both like raised their eyebrows, like, "Whoa!"
It caught me off guard too. I went, "Oh." Well, this is our potpourri episode. This is our let's catch up. But to kick us off, we are in the middle of January, and it is that time of year. If you are a Midwesterner, you know what I'm talking about.
Gets a little hard, man.
Have you seen the snow blustering across the Midwest, Minnesota, Michigan? It's crazy now. And listen, we talked last season about hygge, so we're not going to talk all about hygge, but we do want to touch on hygge. Yeah. Because our hygge's changed.
Yeah.
Your hygge can evolve.
Define hygge for a second. Just refresh.
Hygge is that it's a Scandinavian term. It's spelled Hygge, and it's all about embracing the cozy of this season. Yes. It's all about embracing the coziness.
I remember last year when you shared this, you shared that that it's typical for that country for them to be like, yes, we put on weight. We pack on like 8 to 15 pounds. And
we
I'm
read
like,
books.
Oh, we celebrate this. Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Hello. We're in the wrong country. So I think something we want to always think about is you and I are the type of people that are like, okay, what can we do to change? If something's rubbing us the wrong way, what do we need to do to fix it?
Yeah, something's got to.
So
gotta give.
I have 2 things to share today, and then we can share our hugas. Did you know that 28% of people in America take vitamin D supplements in the winter? That's actually lower than I thought. I take a little vitamin D pill in the winter.
Yeah, probably.
It's part of my normal vitamins, but I also take a little extra.
Listen, if you polled Ohio, everybody is deficient with vitamin D in Ohio.
Right. So that's an important one. Do you take vitamin D?
I do.
Is it separate or is it mixed in something?
It's separate, and I'm not consistent, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine. Here's something else I wanted to know, because I know some people are like, I don't want to take pills or vitamins. Tell me ways that I can do it. So I was thinking, what are some foods that we can incorporate in our diet, especially in the winter months, that can help us fight seasonal depression or just the ick of the winter?
Okay,
so I have 8.
Is broccoli one?
No, broccoli's not on my list.
Interesting. Okay.
Broccoli could be, but this is the list that I found.
Okay.
So the first one is salmon.
Okay.
So grill up that salmon. Mallory has a really good like honey and teriyaki thing.
Let me tell you another thing you can do on salmon that's really awesome.
Okay.
Spray it with olive oil, dust it with salt and pepper, then listen, stick with me, trust me.
I will trust you.
Slather it with some mayonnaise.
I knew you were going to say
and then sprinkle some fresh dill. Chopped up fresh dill over the top.
That sounds so
Pop
simple.
it in the oven. It's so good.
That's awesome.
And lemon.
Yeah,
Always lemon.
lots of lemon. Berries.
Okay.
Berries are really good for us.
Yeah.
Like blueberries, raspberries.
Strawberries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Green, black, and white tea.
Okay.
So having some tea.
Okay.
We love frothy coffee. But listen, our friend Kelly was messaging me the other day. She's been making a London fog.
And also, speaking of tea, this coming weekend, Full Moon Tea has sent us beautiful tea for everybody that's going to be at the event this weekend, which is so nice.
So excited. The next one, this is interesting, is crab.
All right.
I don't know that I am going to eat crab in the winter in Ohio, but there must be good stuff in it.
There's something about seafood.
Whole grain pastas are great.
I'm behind that.
Dark chocolate.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
Koblenz chocolate.
That's
you out
right.
there?
And beans,
legumes.
legumes.
Oh, yeah.
We love some good beans in our soup in the winter.
You know who has a great bean recipe? And he often...
No, Leanne, who does have a great bean recipe?
I think you can look at his highlights. He probably gives a step-by-step or on his website. Is Dan Pelosi. Grossy Pelosi has he is making beans, especially during the winter all the time. And he takes onion, cuts it in half, and a lemon, cuts it in half, and garlic, and puts them face down in olive oil, and it just looks like something I want to just bury my face in.
I need to figure that out.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, so on our potpourri, here are some things that we've been doing in this
I'll tell you.
our hibernation era.
You want me to go?
I can go because I have my first one ready to roll.
Yeah, do it. Go.
I am drinking one of the greatest drinks. So I love Starbucks.
We've talked about this.
Starbucks.
Yes.
If you are listening, we love Starbucks. I can't get there every day though.
No.
And so
let's just be honest, it gets a little expensive.
It does. I'm a dad. I love Disney. Starbucks and Disney, they both cost money.
Is there a Starbucks at Disney?
Yes.
Okay.
Starbucks is in Disney parks.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So two of my favorite drinks I've been making at home, and I love them. The first one is called the Medicine Ball.
Yes.
You brought one to me when we were recording one night, and I thought, I need to figure out how to make this at home because I don't want to go to Starbucks every time.
Whatever you have in that mug smells delicious.
I don't have the Medicine Ball right now.
Oh, what do you
have?
have?
What the Medicine Ball is we have gotten Minute Maid Zero Sugar Lemonade, half of that, half really hot water, a lemon ginger tea bag from Bigelow, and a peach tea bag from Bigelow.
Okay.
And honey. And that's it.
And
it is so good. And then what I'm drinking now is half lemonade and then half water with a passion tea. It's Tazo passion tea.
All right.
Half lemonade, half water. And tell us about your drink.
Well, my drink is Mallory was up in the kitchen.
She's doing it.
And I did a coffee, and then you frothed some of Mallory's. Now listen, on Wednesday, if you give me the recipe, I will post it on my stories.
Yes.
Mallory made a homemade creamer with sweetened condensed milk, vanilla,
so good,
and half, and something else. Salt. And it is delicious.
So this is kind of based on an Amishy thing. Well, that's where I first heard it.
Yeah.
But you take the can of sweetened condensed milk and we put it in the high pressure cooker for 35 minutes.
In the Instant Pot.
In the Instant Pot, yeah. And it makes it creamy. Now, if you cook it a little longer, the Amish have a dessert with pineapple where they slice
Pineapple
off
rings.
the caramel, which is so good.
Yes.
So she makes like a caramel sauce out of it, then mixes it with half and half, with pinches of salt and vanilla, and it is so good.
Okay, wait. Let me talk about the pineapple rings for 1 second.
Yes.
It won't be long. You take that sweetened condensed milk, you put it in the oven, it becomes caramel. Then you take you cut the one end of the jar out, open it.
Yeah.
And then you push the caramel through the can and slice it in these disc shapes. And then you put a pineapple ring on top with a little dollop of cream and a maraschino cherry. And let me tell you,
it's so
it
good.
is so good.
You really should put that on Instagram sometime.
I should.
It's so fun.
It's true.
Does Daryl like it?
Oh, yes. It's an Amish staple.
Is it? Is it a staple?
I mean, it's something that's a treat, but it's definitely a popular thing.
Okay, so what else have you been doing besides our hot drinks that you want to talk about?
Okay, all right. When I went to Hilton Head, I was sick. I was like down and out. So I was like, I'm going to binge watch something.
Yeah.
So listen, I know you might be surprised about this, but apocalyptic shows like The Walking Dead,
no,
I hate to love them, but I love those shows.
I know you love them.
And now I won't do galaxy ones; those I don't get into as much, like UFO.
Sci-fi.
Like no, I won't.
Like Hunger Games.
Oh no, I love that.
Does this count as a Hunger Game? Is Hunger Games in this genre for you?
Yeah.
Like apocalyptic.
Yeah. So I watched The Last of Us, and let me tell you, I was in the middle of the woods by myself in the sea loft, literally jumping at every scary scene.
Can we be fair though? You were in Hilton Head Woods, which is like one of the most populated vacation spots
and safest
in Southeast America.
So let's also just pause here for a second because I want to talk about these shows for a minute. So what I find fascinating about these shows, and I think one of the reasons why I watch them, is because it is a lesson also in humanity.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So the first season or two, you are so scared of the monsters, of whatever it is that has affected their brains and affected them. Like The Walking Dead, you were so scared of the actual Walking Dead, the zombies, you were so scared of them. But then what happens? At about season 2.5 to season 3, you know who you become afraid of?
The real people.
Other human beings. Because the good people are fighting for good. They're fighting for better. They're fighting against the true monsters. The people that were bad before it even started happening are that much worse.
Interesting.
And then you watch this whole fight against good and evil between people, and the monsters become secondary.
That's
the monsters
so
are like, oh, well, yeah, they're going to kill those monsters. Here they go. They're going to kill them. But it is the bad people that everybody's really afraid of.
Huh, that's interesting.
So, I'm rooting for the good guys.
Right.
I'm rooting for the children. There's usually children. So I'm like, you've got to protect Sally Sue. So I hold on just to make sure they're all safe.
Yeah.
And then almost always in these shows, there is some religious zealot. There's some crazy religious person preaching about
you got your hands flailing.
Revelation in the show where you're like, and they're the crazy person. And then also there's somebody who is like a prepper. There's somebody who's like been a prepper. So you're like, oh my gosh, the people we thought were really crazy are the people that actually got it going on. They're the ones with the food.
I don't know what to say. I'm not an apocalyptic kind of guy, but maybe I should be.
I watched the whole entire thing. I don't even know how many seasons there were. It took me several days. I treated it like my job, but I was sick, so I was like, I'm going to watch this thing. That's what you're doing. And
that's so funny.
The acting was great. I cannot wait for the next season.
What app is it on, or what streaming service? Netflix?
I don't know.
Okay.
You know how I am about these things.
I know.
Matt. No, it's not Netflix. It's like either Amazon Prime or Hulu, and I can't remember which one.
Okay, you watched something else that I want to talk about because it's going to segue into things that I've been watching.
Yes.
Tell me, I have not watched this, but tell me about this documentary that you were texting me about the other day.
Okay, give me the full title because I don't ever get it
right. The full title
right.
is Mother God, the Cult of Love Has Won.
Okay.
Tell me about this.
Okay. The cult documentaries that are out there right now.
I know. I have some of my own.
I can only take about one at a time. Because it just makes me wild. I'm like, how are people believing this?
Right.
So it's based around this woman who believed that she was God. She called herself Mother God. She had a following. They made lots and lots of money, like online, which was crazy to me. And then she was drinking silver, so she like turned blue.
That's so bizarre.
Just really crazy. And the I don't want to give it away too much, but there was, well, I can't tell it in case you want to watch it, but the documentaries with the whole cult genre are,
okay. I love the cult genre. Mallory and I both.
I know you do.
So there's two I want to talk about.
Do you watch two?
Yes, this winter. The first one is Shiny Happy People. It's been out for a while. I think it's on Amazon. But I didn't touch it till now, but it's all about the Duggars and their specific brand of evangelical Christian, the homeschooling groups that they were a part of, the parenting classes that they were a part of.
Okay, just in a very condensed fashion.
Yeah.
What was your big takeaway from watching that?
I think my big takeaway, because there were, I believe, 2 girls that are now married and grown that were on it, of their children. I think my takeaway on it was
2 of the Duggars' daughters.
2 of the Duggars' daughters that are married.
Mm-hmm.
I think the sad part about it was, I think when the Duggars, this is just my take, so if you love the Duggars, I apologize if this offends you, but this is my perspective on it. I think when the Duggars started, evangelicals in America, my family included, the church that I was in was like, oh, a real American family with Christian values, and aren't they great?
Right.
And I think that is true when they started. But the contracts that they were getting and the money that they were offered and made from the show, you have to maintain that. And I'm not saying that.
What do you mean maintain that?
He was maintaining the dad was maintaining a lifestyle. And so in order to continue the show, he had to keep control of his children.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that in the greater scale. That sounds very much like some church organizations or some mega churches that they get to a size with all these campuses and all these things that they're like, it becomes a machine, and it's like somebody's got to keep the lights on in these buildings, and so something else is starts driving the train.
And I don't remember if this is 100% accurate, but this is what I remember from it, is one of the daughters, as they were even adults, they had to sign contracts, and the dad would get them to just sign stuff so that they could continue to make money. The kids didn't get any money from what I understood, but the one girl that was interviewed, like, I forget what, they were on TLC, I think. The show showed up at their wedding. They showed up in their birth of their children. And they were like, we don't want them here. And the dad was like, well, it's in your contract. You need to read the fine print.
No.
And so I think there's some hurt there. And then, of course, I don't want to go into the stuff with the sexual abuse that happened in that family, because it's not even pertinent to what I have seen. But it was just keeping up appearances so that you can maintain this image, because they were making great money from it.
Well, Matt, it just speaks to money does crazy things to people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, money really distorts a lot of things, and
Absolutely.
sometimes it looks like a man who's like, well, I'll sign whatever as long as we're making
X number of dollars.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, here's my other second cult documentary I want to talk about.
Okay.
It's called Twin Flames. Have you heard of this one?
No.
So the Twin Flames, here's the one about this. It was this guy and his wife, who was Jeff and Shalia, are their first names. They started this like Facebook group primarily for people. It was for people that wanted to find their true love, and they called it their twin flame.
Okay.
And they would coach primarily single women, was the majority of people who they would coach them on how to get their twin flame and find their twin flame.
What?
To the point where people were getting restraining orders because they were saying, you're just too fearful to go after them. And then they would get arrested for going after these people that don't love them or want to be in a relationship.
The twin flame would
And
get
honestly,
arrested.
there are some really crazy things that happen in it that I almost don't want to give away in case somebody watches it. But this man, Jeff, has these Facebook groups, and people would pay. Yeah, it's still going. People pay these monthly fees to be in these groups and to find their twin flames. And this guy eventually has now called himself the Messiah. They have started a church. It's grown beyond like this relationship life coach thing to like a religion.
What?
Fascinating stuff.
Okay, listen, I have to tell you this real quick sidebar story.
Okay.
That's why we're calling this the Potpourri episode.
This is like actual hanging out with us.
So before, it's true. This is what we do. So before I met Daryl, I met this guy randomly. We won't go into how I met him, but it was so random.
Wait, can you tell more details of this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So this guy asked me out. We go out, and I'm like, no, I can already tell this is a no for me. But he thought I was his twin flame. And
before twin flame was a thing.
And I was waitressing at our family restaurant, Amish restaurant in Amish country, crowded tables,
your twin flame,
sweating, waitressing, and he shows up one day with a dozen pink roses.
Whoa.
In the middle of the dining room. It was so awkward and so embarrassing. Gives me the roses. I'm like, thank you, but this still isn't going to happen. I mean, like I had awkward conversations with him. Like, this is not going to happen. Like, I am not interested. Well, do you know what he did? He made an appointment with my dad at my dad's office and went and met with my dad and asked my dad to have a serious, like almost authoritative disciplinary conversation with me that that God told him that I was his twin flame and that my dad needed to have a conversation with me about it and that we were meant to be together.
Gosh.
And my dad, when he started the conversation, I'm like, don't even tell me that he made an appointment with you and came and talked to you about this. And he's like, yep. And I'm like, no. Like, you need to call him and you need to put like your foot down and put a stop.
Obviously, I don't want you to say who it is, but do you remember this? Like, do you know their name? And do you know whereabouts they are?
I know what city he was from, but I don't recall his name now.
Oh, that's so funny.
No, I probably could if I just really dug around in the depths of my memory, but yeah,
so funny.
Yeah, he thought I was his twin flame, and no, I wasn't.
Okay, what else? We are like, this friend chat is.
Oh my gosh,
we're running out of time.
Oh my gosh, running out of time. Okay, the other thing I read.
Tell us what you've been reading, and I have a couple of things we've been up to.
I finished them. I read them. They're done. I read Fourth Wing.
Okay,
was the first book one. And then Iron Flame was book 2. And let me tell you, there's a couple racy parts. There's a couple racy parts in both books. Oh. You just have to skip over if racy parts offend you.
But also maybe you could learn something.
Maybe spice it up. I don't know, but they were very good, and they also include dragons. You know, there's a little bit of fantasy.
Is there like dragons and humans smooching?
No.
Oh, good.
No,
good. That creeps me out.
No, it's like a dragon rider. You know that. You know that. What was that movie called with the dragon rider? Was it called Dragon Rider? It was I thought it was a Disney movie.
Oh,
but
it's not.
It's not. But you know which one I
mean.
Yeah. So this is Dragon Rider, where dragons.
How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon, like where a dragon bonds with their rider and they bond for life, and you know, it very, very good series, 2-book series, very, very good read, very easy read. I loved it.
That's awesome. Let me tell you what's been going on in my house.
And then we got to wrap it up.
I know. Sourdough has made a comeback. Oh. Sourdough. We did sourdough when everyone else did sourdough in 2020. Mallory, this is so like us, is I got the sourdough out. I got a starter from my sister, Jen Landers. and she mailed me a starter. I rehydrated it, and then I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too much work. Mallory has taken up the mantle as the sourdough person in our house, and so she is in her sourdough era. It's just a lot of work.
It is a lot
But
of work.
if you are in Worcester and you need sourdough starter, we have gobs of it just sitting around. Here's the other thing that we've been doing is we've been loving game nights with our family.
Oh, that's great.
There's this game that we play called, we call it marbles. I think some people call it marble chase. And it kind of looks like a Chinese checkerboard, but you don't play it quite like that. But it's fun. You have like a deck and a half of cards, and you move spaces, and you can get each other out and send each other home. It's kind of like Sorry-ish, like a version of Sorry. But we got ours on the black market from someone we knew who made them from home. But you know where you can actually buy them now in the store is Keim Lumber.
Oh, Keim
Lumber. If you are
listening,
if you want to get involved with the marble chase game, it has been such a fun game for our family to play. So we do it almost every night in the winter. Not every night. I'm going to say about 3 times a week. That's dramatic. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Board games, puzzles,
that's so
sourdough.
Great. Okay, listen, before we sign off, we want to give a big shout out and thank you to our sponsor, Walnut Creek Foods.
Yes.
Walnut Creek Cheese. We love them. And let me just say this about Walnut Creek Cheese and some of their items. They carry bulk items like bulk flour, bulk sugar, bulk oatmeal, bulk things. Mm-hmm. But they also carry all kinds of bulk pasta. And it's winter. And they carry the big elbow macaronis, the big jumbo, bigger ones that make your mac and cheese meaty and delicious. So listen, if you're in Amish country, you got to stop in at Walnut Creek Cheese. But in your bigger cities, you can go to your grocer, and often you will find the Walnut Creek Foods brand there. So we just want to say thank you, Walnut Creek Foods. We love you. I've worked with them since 2008.
And they are giving us so many things to eat.
Oh, so many things to eat for this weekend. And for April, too.
Absolutely. Awesome. Hey, well, thank you so much in this potpourri of winter. Leanne, it was great catching up with you and our podcast family. Yeah. We've had a lot going on, lots of cults and apocalyptic stuff. Hey, well, we hope that you have enjoyed this podcast all about potpourri. You know, whether ordinary. Potpourri? Not really about potpourri. No, about the potpourri of life. You know, whether ordinary or extraordinary, we hope you see that these are good days.
This episode brought to you by Walnut Creek Foods.